All right, so the plan today is to talk about actually how do you find slope. The whole unit we've been talking about slope, but we haven't put a formal definition with it yet. Okay, so if we were to cover slope in our textbook, if I handed out the green textbook over there, which we haven't laid our hands on all year because it's just not necessary, this is what you would see in the textbook. And they literally spend one day in your textbook on it, okay? They expect you to understand all of slope and what it means in one day. I don't think that makes sense. Like, we need more days than that. So when we look at slope, it says slope is a rate of change. Circle those words. Okay. It's the rate of change between any 2 points on a line. It's the measure of the steepness of a line. Is this already what we've been talking about? Absolutely. We have spent time talking about rate of change. When did we talk about that? A couple days ago, right? We put marbles in the water and we looked at the rate of change. We looked at how much the water level was changing as you dropped a marble in. We also can think of this as unit rate. We've talked about unit rates. Okay, slope is all of those things. Slope is your unit rate. It's your rate of change. It's the steepness of a line, okay? To find the slope of a line, you find the ratio. Ratio just means it's a fraction. We love fractions. Of the change in y to the change in x. So slope equals the change in y over the change in x. Okay, here's how I think of slope. Yesterday we talked about staircases. Right? We talked about steps. And if I was standing at the bottom of the steps and you had to give me instructions of how to walk up the steps, right? If I had no clue, I just stood there kind of dumbfounded, like, how do I do this? What would you tell me? How would I move up the steps? Abby. Lift your foot up and then move it forward and step, right? Okay, so we're going to do the same thing when we look at a line. When we look at a line, we need to find any 2 points on the line and think of it like a step, okay? So I can use this point and this point. Now, I don't like how they have it labeled because I want to think of it as a step. I want to figure out how much do we go up and over because it's just like a step. You have to step up before you can go over or you're not going to make it up the stairs, right? You can't go forward and then up. Agreed? Okay. So when I go up, I went up 3 and over 2. The slope is 3 over 2. Okay, now I said you can pick any 2 points. So I could pick this point here and go to here. Would it be the same? If I made that one giant step, how many do I go up? 6. And I go over 4. Is that the same as 3 over 2? 6 over 4 simplifies to 3 over 2. So that one giant step is really the same as 2 little steps. Okay, so slope is really just finding that step and measuring the step. How much do you have to go up and over? Other words for it. Sometimes we hear it as called rise over run. You have to rise up first and then run forward. Okay? So you're going to see some problems on your homework today that look like this. Find the slope of each line. Okay? Now, it's not necessarily going to give you the numbers here. Okay? You have to pick 2 points on the line. Any 2 points. Now, should I pick a point here? Would you pick a point in the middle of the line that's not on a corner? I wouldn't. That seems silly. Okay? In this case, I would pick very nice points here and here. And you have to draw in the step or think of the step and then find the slope. What would the slope of that line be? What's the measurements on the step? How much do I have to step up and over. Isaac. I step up 4, how much over? 3. So my slope is 4 over 3. There's your answer. You do want to make sure it's in simplest form, but you're really just thinking of it as a step. Okay, so I look at this next one, letter B. I'm going to use the points that they have here. We wouldn't have to. And I'm going to draw in my step. How much do I step up and over? Layla. Okay, be careful. It goes up 1, 2, 3 over 6. Okay, make sure your slope is in simplest form. Is that in simplest form? No, I would simplify that to what, Abby? 1/2. Right? Divide by 3. Divide by 3. Does that slope still work? If I went up 1 and over 2, would I still be on the line? If I start here and go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. So in this case, I had 1 giant step, which was really the same as 3 little steps. Okay? And when I say you can pick any points on the line, would have it been okay to go here to here? I don't have to use this point down here. I could have used this one, 1 over 2. There's my slope, and I wouldn't have had to simplify. Does that make sense? Okay. So, looking at this one. Letter C. What do you think the slope would be? Let's see. 2 over 5. If we think of our step, I'm going to pick those 2 dots. Up 2 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares to get to the other one. So 2 over 5 is our slope. How about the next one? Okay, on this one, I'm going to tell you have to be really careful with numbering. Does it matter what points I pick? Absolutely not, right? So do I have to use the 2 points that were given? I kind of like using this one if it's there. And I'm going to go to this one. I'm going to draw on that step. How much should I step up? If I start here, okay, and I have to go to here, how much was that step? How much should I go up? What do you think? 6, right? So oftentimes we get stuck because we just want to say, oh, we went up 1, 2, 3. But in this one, we're not counting by 1s, right? We're counting by 2s. So this distance right here is 6. And then what's this distance? Isaac? 2. So our step up is 6 over 2. My slope is 3 over 1. Or just 3. That makes sense to everybody? Okay, flip the page. So let's put this into context of a problem. This table shows your earnings for babysitting. How many of you babysit? Yeah? Okay. How much do you get paid for babysitting? Yeah. $15 an hour? Or just $15 total? Total? Okay. Some people get paid really good for babysitting. Like, I feel like boys are missing out on some big time money because boys usually don't want to babysit, and you make some good money babysitting, right? Those of you that babysit, okay? So this table shows that if you babysit for $0 hours, you get $0. That makes sense. If you don't do anything, you don't get paid. If you babysit for 2 hours, you get $10. 4 hours, 20, 6 hours, 30, 8 hours, 40, and 10 hours, 50. Okay, so I graphed it already for you. Here's the graph of that. What is this line showing? Any ideas? We'll get to that in a second. Okay, so it says find and interpret the slope of the line through the points. Let's find the slope. I kind of set it up. Slope is change in y over change in x. So I said 20 over 4 because I did this point to this point. And when you go up, when you take that step up, we have to pay attention to the numbering, right? I'm starting at 20, and I'm going up to 40. So that means I went up 20. And then over, I'm starting at 4 and going to 8. So 20 over 4. When I simplify 20 over 4, I get 5 or 5 over 1. What does that mean? In terms of this problem, what does the 5 mean? The amount you're paid per hour. This means that you are getting $5 per hour. Is that good? $5 an hour? Yeah. When you guys babysit, you get more? Yeah? Maybe, depending, right? Sometimes it depends on who you're babysitting. If you're babysitting your siblings, do your parents pay you? Sometimes, maybe. Not in my house, we never did. I was like, your brothers, you babysit them. I'm gonna leave for a little while. Okay? So the slope of the line really just tells you your unit rate. This is your unit rate. $5 per hour, that's what the slope of the line represents. Now, would have it mattered if I picked a different point? Okay, so let's say I picked here and went to here. Is that going to change? So let's go up. How much up would I go? Abby, 50. And over, I would have gone from 0 to 10. So I'd have 50 over 10. Does that change my answer? 50 over 10 is still 5 over 1. How come the slope is the same no matter which points we pick on the line? Because it's a straight line, right? We've talked about that. As long as it's a straight line, it's a constant slope. Okay? All right, so I think we're on the last problem then. This graph shows the earnings of you and your friend for babysitting. Okay? Compare the steepness of the lines. What does it mean in the context of this problem? What does it mean? Okay, you are the green line, your friend is the blue line. What does it mean that your friend's line is steeper than yours? Yeah, they get paid more, right? The steeper the line, they're making more. Your friend gets paid more per hour. Okay, the steeper the line, the more you're getting paid per hour. So let's find and interpret the slope of the blue line, your friend's line. We already know that you get paid $5 per hour. We found that on the last one, right? Let's figure out what your friend is getting paid. Does it matter which point we choose? Again, why doesn't it matter? Go ahead. It's a constant line. So I'm going to start down here because it doesn't matter. I'm going to pick this point, 0, 0. And there's not really another point on a corner. So I'm going to pick a point they gave me. I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to draw in my step. How much do I have to go up? How much am I stepping up to get to that point? Isaac. Careful. What number is here? 28. So because they gave us that number, let's pay attention to that. We went up 28. How much do I step over? From 0 to, go ahead, 4. So what's the slope? Remember, let's go up and over. So what's the slope? Go ahead. 28 over 4. If we simplify 28 over 4, what do we get? 7 or 7 over 1. What does that mean? $7 per hour. So your friend is making more than you. Maybe they're doing the dishes and you're not. They're getting paid more. Okay? Questions there? Any questions about how to find slope? Okay. Then you're going to go to Canvas for your homework. Okay, and on Canvas, under the modules, you're going to go to Wednesday where it says finding slope. It's 12 points. Okay? You're going to see some of them are like this where it gives you a graph and tells you find the slope of the line. You are finding the step up and over. Okay? Pay attention to the numbering. Pick points on the corners if you can. And then there's some other questions, some essay type questions that you'll have to answer. It should be pretty straightforward. Okay, you have lots and lots of time today. You should be able to finish this in class.